The Gerry Callahan Show is presented by Chapter, Medicare Guidance Simplified.
This is The Gerry Callahan Show.
You know, I think I should start off this Wednesday, April 22nd, with an apology. I think I got to apologize to Kash Patel, FBI director. On Monday, we did the show, and we played a clip from his interview with Maria Bartiromo on Sunday, and I said, I like you, Kash. I think you're doing a good job, but you have to stop promising things. You have to stop saying, just wait. Just you wait. Give me a day, give me a few days, and you're going to see some real action. And he threatened to sue the Atlantic magazine, and he said he was going to drop some real interesting news about the far left, about the coordinated hoaxes that have been going on around Donald Trump for years. And I said, okay, enough. Just do it. Stop talking and do it. Well, he has done it. Credit to Kash Patel. On Monday, just after we recorded the show, he filed a lawsuit against Atlantic magazine for their hit piece. That is what Atlantic magazine does. They do hit pieces on Trump administration officials with anonymous quotes. It's basically an arm of the Democrat Party. They don't do journalism. They don't do news. It's owned by Steve Jobs' widow, Ghislaine Maxwell's good friend, and she hates Republicans, and she just pays people to put out hits on Republicans. And the story about Kash was once again laughable. By the way, Atlantic is the one who made up the suckers and losers hoax that Trump called veterans suckers and losers for fighting in our wars. Again, anonymous sources and people that just hated Trump, but just totally made up. And the Kash Patel piece said he was a drunk who was missing in action, MIA, on the job. It has since been debunked by everybody involved, everybody in Kash Patel's world, including Dan Bongino, who said it was all lies when he was Kash's deputy. Interestingly, CNN and Reuters attempted to corroborate, to help the Atlantic, and said and tried to find through their sources some people who would back the story up. They found none. Reuters and CNN said they were unable to corroborate the charges against Kash Patel, which is no surprise because I have no doubt they just made it all up. They had a far-left writer, Sarah Fitzpatrick, who does this for a living, claiming that he would get drunk at work. Obviously, real serious charges. Kash said it's all lies, and he's suing them for $250 million. That was Monday. Then comes Tuesday, and Kash dropped a bomb. Kash Patel, director of the FBI, and Todd Blanche, acting attorney general, held a press conference in Alabama to announce that a grand jury had brought down an indictment on the Southern Poverty Law Center. Now, if you're not aware of what the SPLC is or what they do, you might have thought, they're just a left-wing organization, a nonprofit that like a watchdog that keeps an eye on far-right groups. If you're in the know, if you're aware, if you pay any attention at all, you know these people are scum, just the worst. They have like more than $1 billion tucked away in offshore accounts. It's a money laundering scheme, and it is a criminal organization, as we learned yesterday. It sounds good. Southern Poverty Law Center. They're lawyers fighting for civil rights. It's a lie, and it has always been a lie. And it was confirmed yesterday by Kash Patel when they made the announcement in Alabama. This is from Breitbart. Federal prosecutors Tuesday evening announced an 11-count indictment against the Southern Poverty Law Center, accusing the nonprofit of defrauding donors by using their money to pay informants within hate groups that they were allegedly monitoring. This is wild. It is comical. It is laughable. Just to some, the SPLC was paying, let me just give a couple of organizations on the list. The Ku Klux Klan, the Nazi Party, Aryan Nation, they were paying them for false flag operations, including the famous Charlottesville demonstration, which allegedly led Joe Biden to decide to run for president. That's a lie. Biden told over and over again that he wasn't going to run until he saw what happened in Charlottesville, and he heard what Donald Trump said about it. Again, all lies, all hoaxes. I'm now convinced that when Trump leaves the stage in 3 years or whenever, maybe gets a third term, who knows? I'm now convinced that every single thing the media, the Democrats, these far left organizations like the SPLC have said about Trump, everything will be hoaxes, all lies. They've tried to destroy him, and they have done it in the most underhanded, duplicitous, criminal ways. And this is the best example yet. Todd Blanche announced the indictment from a Montgomery, Alabama grand jury during a press conference alleging that between 2014 and 2023, the SPLC paid more than $3 million to informants in hate groups the organization had vowed to dismantle. They paid more than $3 million to far-right hate groups. Here's the best evidence yet that we, in this country, we don't have a problem with white supremacy. Hell, we don't have a problem with racism. The supply of racism is nowhere close to meeting the demand. They didn't have enough racism, enough hate, enough white supremacy, so they had to make it up. They had to fabricate it. They had to pay people inside these organizations to foment violence so they could then turn around and say, will you look at this? White supremacy is the greatest threat to our homeland. Now, we knew Joe Biden was lying about this. We talked about it all the time. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Merrick Garland, Christopher Wray, they were all part of this plan. Let's pay some bad actors to demonstrate, to wave a Nazi flag or wear a Ku Klux Klan outfit and protest publicly, and then turn around and claim that these people are a real existential threat to our country. It was all made up. It was all a hoax. This should be the biggest story everywhere today. I assume MSNBC and ABC and the New York Times will barely touch this. If they do, they'll spin it, they'll lie. But it was all exposed yesterday by Kash Patel. Here's some of Kash's press conference. Go ahead.
What we're here today is to announce what the general just told you. The Southern Poverty Law Center, in a massive sweeping indictment, has been charged with allegations of fraud and using the banking system to perpetrate that fraud. I just want to talk about a couple of brief things here. The Southern Poverty Law Center themselves advertise to raise money to dismantle violent extremist groups for a period of at least a decade. They use their donor network to raise money to purportedly dismantle violent extremist groups. However, the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, used the money they raised from their donor network to actually pay the leadership of these very groups. I just want to say that again. They used the fraudulently raised money by lying to their donor network, thousands of Americans, to go ahead and actually pay the leadership of these supposed violent extremist groups. The groups, as the general laid out, include the Ku Klux Klan, the United Klans of America, Unite to Right, National Alliance, the National Socialist Movement, the Aryan Nation Motorcycle Club, and the National Socialist Party of America, and also the American Front. In at least one of these matters, our investigation revealed that funds were used to facilitate the commission of further state and federal offenses, totaling over $3 million.
That is wild. All right. You remember all those videos of those alleged, white nationalists with the khakis, and they carry a flag and they're a mask. They're all matched, and we look at these and say, "Who are these people?" Well, now we know who they are. They're paid actors by the Southern Poverty Law Center, which is just a nefarious, sinister organization. Just a couple things that jumped out at me. The SPLC worked with groups like PayPal to demonetize and debank right-wing organizations, which included the Family Research Council, Moms for Liberty, and TPUSA. Charlie Kirk's organization was targeted by these criminals and forced, in some cases, to lose their bank, their relationship with their bank or their PayPal, their pay service. That's what they did. These are just the worst, the scummiest, the sleaziest people in the world. And they were used by Democrats and by media organizations. You'd see media organizations referencing the SPLC like they were a credible organization. Half the stuff you see in Wikipedia comes from the SPLC. So the SPLC would lie and say, this guy's tied to white supremacy or hate groups. And then you read it in the Wikipedia entry. That's how bad this was. Here's just one item from the indictment. This is F-37s, one of the paid right-wing extremists. It's hard to believe this is real. F-37 was a member of the online leadership group that planned the 2017 Unite the Right event in Charlottesville, Virginia, and attended the event at the direction of the Southern Poverty Law Center. F-37 made racist postings under the supervision of the SPLC and helped coordinate transportation to the event for several attendees. So they paid a guy to organize, recruit, create posters or postings about the event. And then, things got violent. Things got dramatic, which was all planned by the SPLC in coordination, I assume, with Democrats. Let's cover this. Let's make a big deal out of this. They got lucky when one of the right-wing protesters gunned his hit in his car, hit one of the Democrats, one of the women, killed a woman. He was surrounded. He panicked. He hit the gas. He killed a woman. That's awful. That sounds like, involuntary manslaughter, but he was convicted of first-degree murder, and he's doing 400 years. It's all part of the same plan. But here's, give me that list of the organizations. Here it is: National Alliance affiliate, $1 million. Aryan Nation, $300,000. They paid $300,000 to the Aryan Nation. Unite the Right, $270,000. KKK, $73,000, and American Front, $19,000. They covered all their bases. These are groups that, as we say all the time, white supremacists are insignificant. They're nobodies. There's like 12 guys in the mountains of Arkansas. They found them. They paid them. They sent them out there to march and scream and say racist things, and then they could claim this is it. This is a movement. And they could tie it to the Republicans, to Trump. And I have to say, It worked. It worked for a while. They could lie, and they could clip Trump's comments, claim he said they're fine people, which was a lie from the beginning. We all know it. We've seen the clip, but they didn't care. They don't have any. They don't have any boundaries, moral limits. They just went for it. Said Trump claimed they're fine people. Joe Biden ran for president because of what Trump said. It was all a lie. It was all a hoax. If you fell for it, shame on you. Let's do this. We'll do Trump and then we'll do Biden. It's just amazing. They were still talking about this. This is from 2016, or before the 2016 election, after the demonstration, which, aside from the paid actors, was a demonstration about taking down statues in Charlottesville of Robert E. Lee and other Confederate figures. And there were people, Trump was right, fine people on both sides. Some people didn't want to tear down statues. They didn't want to erase the past. And others did. They wanted to tear down the statues and throw them in the river. That was the two sides. And Trump claimed, there's a reasonable argument on both sides. That was true. There was nothing inflammatory about it, but they clipped it just right. Here's just a reminder of what we lived through for years because of this false flag operation by the SPLC and their allies in the Democrat Party and the media. Go ahead.
And you had some very bad people in that group, but you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group.
Hold it. See, that's what you do if you're a dishonest Democrat or a member of the media. Stop it right there. Trump said very fine people. He called Nazis, Klansmen, very fine people. He can't be president. He's a racist. He's a hater. I mean, he's a Nazi. That's what we lived through for years because of this lie. All right, now let's keep going. Let's do it. Let's do it right. Let's keep playing it.
Excuse me. I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name. And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists.
It's amazing. It's amazing how dishonest our media has been since Trump came down the escalator. They're just liars. And they're working with criminal organizations to do, they did it. That's more than a decade ago. We've lived through this. Yes, then you have the biggest liar to ever occupy the Oval Office, Joe Biden, who claimed over and over again that the reason he ran was what happened in Charlottesville, which was, again, a hoax and a lie. And this liar just kept lying about it. Here he is, reminder, Joe Biden lying to you, telling you why he decided he wasn't going to run because, his son died and his family was still grieving and it wasn't right. The time wasn't right. He said that in 2016. He said it in 2017. And then in 2018, he decided to run. And the reason? Because of what happened in Charlottesville. It was always a lie. Here it is once again.
I ran for president in 2020 because of what I saw in Charlottesville in August of 2017. Extremists coming out of the woods, carrying torches, their veins bulging from their necks, carrying Nazi swastikas, and chanting the same exact anti-Semitic bile that was heard in Germany in the early 30s. Neo-Nazis, white supremacists, the Ku Klux Klan, so emboldened by a president then in the White House that they saw as an ally.
God, that's amazing. That should be the biggest story in the world right now. It's not, but when Trump was in office, it was August 12th, 2017, when he when the thing happened in Charlottesville, the whole setup, the whole hoax. And then the next 4 years, he was tied to white supremacists and neo-Nazis. And then he ran against that liar, Joe Biden, who lied and claimed white supremacy is the biggest threat to our homeland. And his vice president said it, and his attorney general said it, and the sleazebag, Christopher Wray, the director of the FBI, said it under oath. Oh, white supremacy, white nationalists, that's the biggest problem we're facing. It was always a lie, and it was coordinated with this hit group, SPLC. And you think it was just then, late 2017, 2018. This is 4 months ago. Jamie Raskin, one of the most powerful Democrats, one of the most prominent Democrats in the House, 4 months ago, referencing the, fine work by the SPLC, rooting out hate groups. They knew what the SPLC was. They know what it is now, and they can't admit it. They can't let it go. These are their foot soldiers out there, and they continued to this day pretend that SPLC is a respected organization, a civil rights organization. Listen to this clown. Listen to this liar, Jamie Raskin. Go ahead.
Now, in other times, Democrats and Republicans alike would rely on the Southern Poverty Law Center to help us keep track of the movements of violent white supremacy in the country. The Southern Poverty Law Center has been a vigilant voice in civil society against radical white nationalist violence and extremism, neo-Nazism, and other forces across the political spectrum that spread organized hate from any quarter. The president, however, wants to undermine civil society organizations and to reduce our ability to defend ourselves against the virus of racial violence.
You know what? If you ask for an example, you know what they'll say? Charlottesville. They'll say, Charlottesville, that was an example of white supremacy on the march, violent hate groups. They'll do it today. They'll say that today. Oh, the SPLC said this. According to the SPLC, they're a hate group. Well, the Moms for Liberty is a hate group, according to the SPLC. Charlie Kirk's organization, they went after Charlie Kirk the day before he was shot and killed in Utah. Here it is. Turning Point continued the hard right attacks on diversity, equity, and inclusion at an event over the summer where one speaker implied violence was necessary. Vince Ellison, who unsuccessfully ran for Congress, told a TPUSA audience that DEI supporters are inferior, and when he encounters them, I'm going to slit their throat. Ellison is a favorite Black voice on hard right media. In the past, he teamed with TPUSA leader Charlie Kirk to call Martin Luther King despicable and immoral. Now that's obviously all made up. Charlie Kirk was assassinated the next day. Can you imagine if a right-wing organization did that, put a target on a left-wing influencer, and he was killed the next day? They don't want to admit it. They had to do this because the violence comes from the left. The violence came from BLM and Antifa. By the way, a lawyer for the SPLC was part of the Antifa gang who attacked a police training facility in Atlanta, got arrested. That's who they are. That's what they do. And Kash Patel and Todd Blanche just exposed them. It is amazing. The SPLC, again, has $1 billion. Again, money laundering operation. George Clooney gave them $1 million. Apple donated $1 million. All the usual suspects donated to the SPLC. And then, self-righteously said, we're rooting out hate groups. We're fighting for civil rights. No, George Clooney, you were paying actual Klansmen, actual Nazis to do a hoax, to pull off a hoax. That's what you did. And Kash Patel just exposed it, which is glorious. I can't tell you how much I love this story, and it's going to piss me off because everyone's going to, brush it under the rug. They'll defend it. They'll say that Kash Patel is lying or they're deflecting. But I mean, we all knew the SPLC were criminals, were liars, were fraudsters, were hoaxsters, and Kash Patel, God bless him, just exposed it. And they got the receipts, by the way. You think these Klan guys or these Nazis are going to stand up? They are going to flip on the SPLC, and hopefully the whole organization will be brought down as it should be. Just think how despicable they were. They would go after people they didn't agree with, pro-lifers or Moms for Liberty, and they would pressure the banks to close their accounts. They would pressure PayPal and organizations like that to shut them out. That is just chilling. And they had the support of the Democrat Party because they worked hand in hand to get Joe Biden elected, to get Democrats elected, and to stop Republicans and right-wingers. Just incredible, incredible stuff. It was all a lie. It was all a lie. Everything they said about Donald Trump was a lie. Charlottesville was a lie. Fine people was a lie. And it's finally on April 2026, it's all coming to light. Good for you, Kash Patel. Sorry I accused you of dragging your feet, because this is what we voted for. This is what we've been waiting for. All right, speaking of waiting, we're waiting for negotiations with Iran. I don't have a good feeling. I said it yesterday. I'm not sure the people calling the shots or taking the shots in the Straits of Hormuz are stand-up guys. I'm getting the feeling they're not really interested in negotiating a deal, but we will see. We get another Democrat rooting for Iran. Yes, another elected Democrat, just like Chris Murphy, rooting for Iran. We'll play you that sound. We'll get to that and more, but first.
Excuse me.
Many Medicare brokers only show you plans from the companies they represent. That's a fact. Here's what that means for you. When they recommend a plan, they've got a financial incentive to show you certain plans over others. That's why it feels so confusing. Medicare is already confusing enough by itself, but to make it even worse is the person you call for help as a financial incentive to keep it confusing. More calls, more plans sold, more commissions, and the cycle resets every year. Just more confusion, and you wonder, who's looking out for me? That's why you need to know about Chapter. Chapter's independent. They look at every plan available and tell you in plain English what fits your situation, your health, and your wallet. A call with Chapter is free, and it only takes about 20 minutes. Who benefits when Chapter makes a recommendation? You do. Just you. That's it. If you're turning 65 or already on Medicare, call Chapter at 27 Medicare. Again, that's 27 Medicare. All right, we're waiting. Donald Trump extended the ceasefire in Iran for 3 to 5 more days. The IRGC seizing ships and attempting to shut down the straits again. I guess J.D. Vance is all packed and ready to go to Islamabad, but he's waiting for the go-ahead and to get there and to continue talks, peace talks. Not sure anything is going to come of that. I have a bad feeling that we're going to go back to war, back to dropping bombs, because I don't think you're dealing with honorable people. I'm just going to say it. They're busy hanging beautiful young Iranian women. They're too busy to sit down and settle this. And I'm not sure who's in charge, but I think the IRGC is alive and well and not interested in ending this war. And one thing they can count on as they drag it out is their most passionate supporters, which would be Democrats and the media in the United States, they're not giving up. They're rooting, still rooting. I mean, it doesn't look good for Iran if combat resumes, but they're hoping, they're hoping their guys in the IRGC can bounce back and defeat Donald Trump, their sworn, their common enemy. This is Seth Moulton, again, just a total scumbag, really is. Congressman from Massachusetts, hoping to become a senator. He's challenging Ed Markey, the dumbest man in the U.S. Senate. He's trailing in the polls, so he's got to make some news. He goes on with CNN and just flat out says, "We've lost. We've lost." Of course, the host doesn't push him and say, "Simple question for you, Seth. Could you explain that to me? In what way have we lost? In what way have they won?" Now, it doesn't matter. Seth has declared, we have lost the war. 54 days in, we're done. We lost. Listen to this.
From the rhetoric, like cutting through all the rhetoric from both the United States and from Iran, this sort of tough talk, do you have a sense of what is really going on here? And are you afraid of what the consequences might be if the ceasefire ends in 48 hours?
I think that what's really going on here is that Donald Trump has lost his war, and now he's losing the peace as well, because he's essentially given Iran more leverage than they had when this began. I mean, his only victory is that we've hit a lot of targets in Iran. I mean, it sounds like Westmoreland's body counts from Vietnam, but wars are not defined by body counts or targets hit. They're defined by outcomes. And the current outcome is that Iran controls the Strait of Hormuz and they've closed it down. And Trump's only strategy is blockading the blockade. I mean, that's not a naval strategy. I mean, that's like...
Hold on. Blockade is not a naval strategy? I'm sorry. He's a military guy, but he's first and foremost a Trump hater, a Democrat who is hoping we lose. He's hoping for disaster. Hell, I don't think Seth Moulton would mind if we had U.S. casualties. Honestly, I know that's harsh, but you actually going to tell me that he would feel bad if the war blew up on Donald Trump and went sideways and the whole country was angry and upset with Trump? That's what he's hoping for. That's what he wants. We've lost the war. So if we've lost the war, that means they won the war, Seth, right? So the side that has lost their entire Navy, their entire Air Force, their entire leadership, that side won the war? Do you hear yourself, Seth? They won the war. The side that lost everything, lost their air defenses, they won the war because they are firing at ships in the Hormuz Strait. That's it? That's all? Well, what do you think's going to happen if we negotiate? We're going to open the strait. What do you think is going to happen if the blockade continues? They're losing, allegedly, $400 million a day, $400 million a day for the regime as the blockade continues. We can keep going. I don't think the U.S. Navy has a problem continuing the blockade for a few more weeks, months, years, whatever it takes. We can do it. They can't. We'll see how it goes. But just remember that on April 21st, Seth Moulton said, we have lost the war, which is absurd. We've lost the fight in Virginia. Yes, let's move on to the most naked, cynical, dishonest, despicable power grab I think I've ever seen. We talked about this, the vote in Virginia to redistrict a state that's purple that voted for Kamala Harris 51-46 by 5 points, that had 6 Democrat congressmen and 5 Republican congressmen, which was bipartisan, which was fair, which was reasonable. Democrats looked at that and said, no, we can't do this. They held this referendum yesterday, and yes won. That means redistrict. That means grab it all. 50.3% for the yes vote, 49, I believe, for the for the no vote, which means pretty close, pretty even. Republicans, Democrats. Well, that's over with. It's now they're now going to have 10 Democrat seats and 1 Republican seat in a blue state, which if you look at the map, it's not a blue, it's a red state, but those pockets of blue just dominate. It's now going to be controlled by Fairfax County. It's going to be controlled by Northern Virginia, which is dominated by federal employees, bureaucrats, and illegal aliens, and Democrats. They're going to control the whole state. So there's going to be 1 Republican district in Virginia. And what do Democrats say? They say, Republicans started it. They redistrict in Texas. Well, the Texas map is much more fair than this. I believe there's still 5 or 6 Democrat districts. This is insane. And Republicans didn't start it. Here's the problem Democrats have going forward. They're going to continue to do this because, Republicans started it and we have to stop Trump. They don't have that many places to do this in because they've already done it. Here are the numbers in blue states. Put that back up for me. Just a reminder of what they've already done. They did this before Texas. They did this before, Indiana voted on it. In Massachusetts, 36% Republican, 36% voted for Trump, 0 seats. Connecticut, 42% Republican, 0 seats in Congress. Maine, 46%, 0. New Hampshire, where's New Hampshire? 48% Republican. New Hampshire, 0 Republican seats. Rhode Island, 0. Vermont, 0. Hawaii, 0. Delaware, 0. New Mexico, 0. They don't have many places that they can redistrict because they've already done it. In New England right now, we have 33 members of the House and the Senate, 1 Republican, and she's barely Republican, Susan Collins, who will likely lose to the nipple Nazi, Graham Plattner, in November. And then you'll have 0 in the entire New England. And every district, every seat, every Senate seat in New England will be controlled by Democrats. So they can't redistrict. They've already redistricted, but they don't care. They don't care. 49% voted to not redistrict. That half of the state will now have 9% representation in Congress. 9% for Republicans in Virginia. That's it. They do. This was led by Barack Obama, who's just a duplicitous, just a sleazy, and Abigail Spanberger, the new governor, who said in November, just before the election, that she was dead set against redistricting. Has there ever been a more dishonest candidate? She claimed to be a moderate to win the seat, to win the governor's office, and then turned around, redistricted the whole state, made laws to stop ICE from deporting illegal aliens, and passed, 100 different new taxes. That's your new governor of Virginia. That's how Democrats fight. Get that Joy Reid clip, because here's the second part of this. You do this naked power grab. You grab, you redistrict, you grab more seats, you increase your numbers in Congress, and then you turn around and accuse Republicans of doing what you just did. That's how it works. You say, oh no, we fight fair. Republicans fight dirty. Bullshit. Republicans are just too soft and squishy. We see it every day from John Thune in the Senate. They can grab, 10 House seats, and we can't pass the Save America Act. We can't make sure our elections are secure. They want it all. They fight dirty. We've all heard from James Carville, who said, get ready. We're going to take back the House and the Senate, and then we're going to get rid of the filibuster, add Puerto Rico and D.C. as states. That's 4 more senators. We're going to pack the Supreme Court, add 4 more Supreme Court seats, all Democrats. That's what they're saying they're going to do in less than a year. And we sit back and say, they got rules. We have norms in the Senate. We can't get rid of the filibuster. We can't, expel Ilhan Omar. We can't ban stock trading. We got rules and norms, and we don't want to disrupt things. That's how Republicans fight. Democrats fight dirty and then lie about it. Here's Joy Reid talking about this.
Well, first of all, Democrats do not play politics the way Republicans do. The difference between the parties, they do not. They do not.
Please.
Democrats play by the Marquis de Queensberry rules. I think they do not. They're not rule breakers. What's been
You're trying to tell me
they're not.
If the Democrats take the Senate,
I would hope they would.
2027.
I hope
in 2027, and Alito retires, and Trump names a Supreme Court justice, that the Democrats are going to have hearings and actually confirm him.
I think they would.
Or her,
because they don't
not a chance.
I don't think that they play like. Can you imagine Chuck Schumer doing any of the things Mitch McConnell did? Of course not. They couldn't even hold out on a government shutdown because 8 of them turned tail and gave in. Democrats capitulate and they try to play by the rules. Republicans don't care about the rules. They rewrite the rules.
That is amazing. That's part 2. Part 1 is grab it, empower any way you can. Count illegals in the census. Keep illegals in the country to vote for you. And then turn around and say, we play by the rules. Republicans are breaking the rules. 10 Republicans just voted to continue protective status for illegal aliens from Haiti. 350,000 of them. 10 Republicans. Show me one case where Democrats turn on their base, turn on their party like that. Just one. Can't do it. Just amazing. But it's Joy Reid with Maury Povich, who's my idol, by the way. Maury Povich. I didn't even know he was still alive, but when he was in his prime, Maury Povich did that crazy talk show, Maury's show, or whatever it was called, where he'd bring on, crazy people to accuse someone of knocking someone else up. And so I read about Maury Povich's life. He used to record the show, 5 shows a week. He'd record it in less than a day. Like it was on Tuesday afternoon and Wednesday morning. So he'd literally spend, 24 hours recording the show, and then he'd get on his private jet and go play golf. He belonged to like all the finest courses, and he would do the show and be done with it like Wednesday afternoon, get on his jet with his friends and go to Pebble Beach or Pine Valley. And he made like $20 million a year or more. It was just the best life. And he just had to do this stupid show, which he,
that show is peak American television though.
Yes. And he made a fortune doing it, and he had a great life going. I guess he's doing a podcast now with Joy Reid just to keep busy. But I can tell you this, he doesn't need the money. He doesn't need the money. Speaking of money, a lot of questions about Ilhan Omar and her little accounting error, which is just laughable. Here's how I'm going to find out if Republicans will indeed fight hard. Forget fighting dirty. There's nothing dirty about this. She must be investigated, exposed, and expelled. That has to happen. Get on it. We're going to get to Ilhan Omar facing tough questions from a reporter in the hallways at the Capitol. And Emily Hart. You know who Emily Hart is, Ironhead? We finally learned the truth about Emily Hart, a right-wing influencer, a really attractive young girl who is online, is on social media, is big on social media, wearing her, MAGA hat and her red, white, and blue bikini. She's got a lot of fans out there. But we're going to introduce you to Emily Hart. You're not going to believe who she really is. We'll get to that and more, but first.
Excuse me.
Have you noticed your sheets slipping off the corners lately? Or maybe your pillows just don't feel supportive anymore. Most people actually keep their bedding way longer than they should. I know, we did that. It slowly wears down and you don't realize how much it's affecting your sleep until you finally replace it. And the truth is, most people think they need a new mattress. But the biggest difference usually comes from replacing what touches you every night. That's why we upgraded our bed with Boll and Branch. They make everything your bed needs. Their signature organic cotton sheets, pillows, blankets, and comforters are all designed to be breathable, incredibly soft, and get better over time. So upgrade your sleep with Boll & Branch. Get 15% off your first order plus free shipping at bollandbranch.com/Jerry with code word Jerry. That's Boll & Branch, BOLLAND branch.com/Jerry. Code word Jerry to unlock 15% off. Exclusions apply. We got rid of one of the bad apples yesterday. Sheila Scherflis, I say her name, Sheila McCormick from Florida, a crook who allegedly stole $5 million from victims of disasters from FEMA. She was forced out of Congress, forced to resign. That's a good thing. Got to get rid of these crooks. She, by the way, she claimed her innocence and all, but she posed for her official photo in the House, and you could see her ring. Her ring was worth like $120,000. Not a criminal genius. I don't think Ilhan Omar is a criminal genius either. And for you to believe she's innocent of all the accusations, you'd have to believe that the Feeding the Future scam, which we've talked about a lot in Minneapolis, where they stole $250 million, stole it from, hungry kids and taxpayers. That was her idea. It was introduced, it was hatched in a restaurant in Minneapolis, which she appeared in. The founder of Feed the Future stood shoulder to shoulder with Ilhan Omar. It was her idea to start this scam. If you think she's innocent, you believe they stole $250 million and she didn't get a cut. She didn't get her share. Sure. You think she has that much integrity? She's honest. She wouldn't say, I need mine. When she filed her financial disclosure forms, she said she was worth between $6 and $30 million. And then she realized, they might investigate. She changed it, said it was an error. And now she's worth between 18 and 95,000. So you went from a high of $30 million to $18,000 and said, I am not a millionaire. Well, no one believes that. Everyone knows she's crooked. Everyone knows she's corrupt. And Republicans know it. Hell, Tom Emmer from her fellow Minnesota rep, he has been the loudest on this, screaming that she committed immigration fraud, financial fraud, and she should be expelled. It has to happen. This is the new red line. If Republicans don't have the backbone to kick this crook out of Congress, then forget it. Just I give up. We're done. You're cowards. You're just useless. But here she was, approached by a reporter from Lindell TV. That's Mike Lindell's organization. So they get a credential, which is good because you'd never see NBC or the New York Times do this, ask real questions of a corrupt public official. And check out how she doesn't handle it well. Ilhan Omar does not like people questioning her. She comes from a place, as we know, she represents a place, Somalia, which is rife with corruption. Corruption is part of the culture. And she doesn't understand why she can't just, steal a few million here and there and get away with it. Here she is being asked about her various crimes.
Last time I spoke to you, you said that I was stupid for asking you about your financial disclosure, but there's some discrepancies on there. Would you like to explain that? How did you make such a big mistake on it? Absolutely, you're stupid for asking me anything. I am? Yes. Well, what about the American people who are wondering how you made such a big mistake?
I have explained to the American people.
What's the explanation?
I have given them the explanation.
Do you want to tell our viewers? Because I
don't want to tell you jack shit.
Oh.
How about that?
Okay. Have a good day. Thank you, Congresswoman.
Oh, she's just repulsive. I'm not going to tell you jack shit, she says to a reporter. She can't explain it. And you know what? If you or I did this, no one would say, oh, you just made an accounting error? Okay, we'll move on. No, we're not moving on. At least I hope we're not. All right, before we go, I know you're a big fan of Emily Hart Ironhead. She's a MAGA influencer, and I've seen her online. Fortunately, I didn't buy any of her merchandise, but apparently she's made a fortune. Throw Emily up there for the audience in case they've seen her. There she is in her red, white, and blue bikini. It's a bunch of photos of her drinking beer, ice fishing. What is she doing in that other photo? She's got a rubber glove.
She looks like she is posing as a nurse.
Aren't you due for your prostate exam, Ironhead?
Yeah, I don't think the wife will let me go see her.
So she's pretending to be a nurse giving prostate exams, but she's an attractive, young, blonde woman. And apparently she's made a fortune. Well, somebody dug in on this. Apparently Wired dug in on this. And here's from the New York Post. This made me laugh out loud. A comely MAGA influencer who racked up millions of followers with patriotic content of her posing in a bikini while ice fishing, drinking Coors Light, and shooting guns has been unmasked as an Indian man who's putting himself through med school on the proceeds of this trickery. Sam, a 22-year-old orthopedic surgeon in training, told Wired that he got the idea to sell AI-generated images of a young woman in bikini while scrounging for money for school. He turned to Google's Gemini AI for advice and decided to create a hot girl crafted specifically for the MAGA conservative niche, after software told him that the conservative audience, especially older men in the U.S., often has higher disposable income and is more loyal. He created Emily Hart. That is how Emily was born. And it says she's a registered nurse who looks like Jennifer Lawrence and offered red meat posts to lonely conservative men online. And one post says, Christ is king, abortion is murder, and all illegals must be deported. And then he had 10,000 followers in a month, and then he sold merchandise, pro Second Amendment merchandise for this AI generator. Good for him. Nothing illegal about that, is there?
I think a little bit.
Sold like hats and shirts. He says he spent 30 to 50 minutes of his day on this, and he was, quote, making good money for a medical student. In India, you can't make this kind of money. I haven't seen an easier way to make money. Good for him. She's totally AI generated. She looks real. I fell for it. I thought she was real.
A lot of people are doing that kind of stuff now. Like, I saw an article that like OnlyFans models were AI and stuff like that too. It's kind of crazy.
Yes, he said he could make OnlyFans like money for this. And there's all these pictures, drinking a beer, ice fishing, waving the flag, and preying on lonely MAGA men. But hey, whatever. They enjoyed it. We'll see how it goes from Emily Hart. I know there's probably 1,000 of these out there now. He made it sound so easy. Just create a hot chick, put a MAGA hat on her, and she's got cowboy boots. And people who don't respect America should be kicked out of our great nation. Drop a flag if you agree. I don't think there's anything illegal. I don't think she's been taken down. So Emily's still out there preying on lonely men, but good for her. All right, speaking of lonely men, Ironhead, I think that will do it for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is The Callahan Show, and we will do it again tomorrow.
Because of high level of character, which is to say I must conduct myself in a way that I honor the ancestors and all who have sacrificed before me. And so I will vote because it is my duty for all that paved the path for me to be here. But they count on that.
Is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election.